The invitation sat on my counter for 2 weeks before the follow-up call. Vanessa's annual summer gala at the Harbor Club. Black tie, 200 guests, the city's elite. My name had been on the list. Past tense. Claire, I need to be honest, Vanessa said, her voice carrying concern mixed with condescension. Michael and I are worried you might feel uncomfortable at the gala. The guest list has gotten very sophisticated. Diplomats, executives, people from Michael's international circles. You know how you get at these things, a little lost, a little overwhelmed. I stirred my coffee, watching morning light through my modest apartment windows. I see. It's not that we don't want you there. But Michael's making connections with important people. The Kenyan ambassador is coming, EU trade delegation representatives, a Saudi businessman. These people speak 5 languages and discuss international policy. I don't want you to feel out of place. I thought about yesterday's briefing where I'd presented East African trade route analysis to senior diplomats, where Ambassador Omondi from Kenya had specifically requested my expertise on regional development. I understand, I said. Exactly. I knew you'd get it. You've always been so understanding. Not everyone can navigate high society, and that's okay. You have your little translation job, your quiet life. That's perfect for you. My little translation job. Senior interpreter and cultural liaison for the State Department. But I'd never corrected her. Never mentioned that I facilitated negotiations between foreign dignitaries and U.S. officials. That I'd briefed the Secretary of State last month. That I held top-secret clearance. Thanks for being honest, I said. You're the best. Oh, don't worry about sending a gift. I know money's probably tight. Love you. She hung up before I could respond. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I'd watched Vanessa's Instagram document every gala detail. The custom Valentino gown. Imported orchids. The 5-tier globe cake symbolizing Michael's international vision. Seating chart photos carefully cropped to hide my absence. My coworker Derek had noticed. Isn't that your sister? The Harbor Club Gala is the same night as the trade reception. The one Ambassador Omondi is hosting. What a coincidence, I'd said. You're the lead interpreter for the Kenyan delegation's visit, right? I am. Does your sister know you work with these people? I just smiled and returned to translating from Swahili. The day arrived warm and clear. I spent the morning at State finalizing logistics. Ambassador Omondi was announcing a major partnership initiative. Several key staff would attend, along with EU representatives and business leaders interested in East African investment. Claire, we need you there by 7, my supervisor Margaret said. The ambassador specifically requested you as primary interpreter. Says you're the only one who understands Kikuyu business customs. I'll be there at 6:30. 5 My phone buzzed. Vanessa. Claire. Emergency with the florist. Can't talk long. Just wanted to say I hope you have a nice quiet evening. Maybe order takeout, watch a movie. Something relaxing and simple. Love you. Gone before I could reply. I finished my makeup, pinned my hair in a sophisticated updo and called a car. The trade reception was at the Meridian, overlooking the harbor. Less than a quarter mile from the Harbor Club. I arrived at 6:20. Ambassador Omondi stood near the entrance with his chief of staff. Claire. He smiled, switching to Swahili. Thank you for coming early. I wanted to review key points before guests arrive. We spent 20 minutes on his speech, discussing translation nuances, confirming name pronunciations. His chief of staff David Kamani joined us to review expected attendees. Several American business leaders will be here, Ambassador Omondi said, including Michael Chin. His firm has expressed interest in Nairobi infrastructure projects. I understand you know him. He's my brother-in-law, I said carefully. Excellent. Then you can make proper introductions. Though I'm sure you've already discussed opportunities with him. I smiled non-committally. Michael had no idea I worked in international trade. No idea I'd spent 6 months helping develop the very partnership he hoped to benefit from. Guests began arriving at 7. I positioned myself near the ambassador, ready to interpret. The room filled with diplomats, business leaders, government officials. At 7:15 I saw them. Michael first in an expensive tuxedo, scanning the room confidently. Then Vanessa, stunning in her Valentino gown, diamonds at her throat. They were with Michael's business partners and spouses. Vanessa's eyes swept the room, cataloging, assessing, looking for important people Michael needed to impress. Her gaze passed over me twice without recognition. Just another staffer in evening wear. Ambassador Omondi touched my elbow. Claire, I should greet the new arrivals. That's Michael Chin. Yes, Your Excellency. We crossed the room together, the ambassador's presence commanding attention. Conversations paused. We stopped directly in front of Michael and Vanessa. Mr. Chin, Ambassador Omondi extended his hand. Ambassador Francis Omondi. Thank you for coming. Michael's professional smile was immediate. Ambassador, the honor is mine. I've been looking forward to discussing infrastructure opportunities. Before we discuss business, the ambassador interrupted gently, I must thank the person who made this partnership possible. He turned to me, his smile genuine. Claire has been instrumental in developing this initiative. Her understanding of both American and Kenyan business culture, her regional development expertise, her tireless work over 6 months. Without her, this evening wouldn't be happening. Vanessa's eyes finally focused on me. Really saw me. Her expression cycled through confusion, recognition, dawning horror. Claire works with you? Michael's professional mask slipped. Works with me? Mr. Chin, Claire is our senior cultural liaison for East African Affairs. One of the State Department's most valued interpreters and policy advisors. I requested her specifically for this delegation visit. She's been my right hand throughout partnership development. I didn't know, Michael said, looking at me as if seeing me for the first time. Vanessa had gone pale under her makeup. Claire, you never said, you told us you did translations. I do translations, I said calmly. Among other things. David Kamani joined us with champagne glasses. He handed one to me. Claire, the EU delegation just arrived. We're asking for you. Something about tomorrow's trilateral meeting. Excuse me, I said. Your Excellency, shall we greet the European representatives? Ambassador Omondi offered his arm and we moved across the room, leaving Vanessa and Michael in stunned silence. The next hour unfolded naturally. This was my job. My actual life. I interpreted between the ambassador and German trade representatives. Facilitated introductions between Kenyan business leaders and American investors. Switched seamlessly between English, Swahili and French, bridging gaps, clarifying nuances, making connections. Everywhere I went, I felt Vanessa's eyes following me. I was discussing agricultural export regulations with a Dutch delegate when Margaret appeared. Claire, someone asking for you. Says she's your sister? She's quite insistent. I'll handle it. Vanessa had positioned herself near the private meeting room's corridor, away from the main reception. Her carefully maintained composure was cracking. Claire, what the hell? You work for the State Department? You know the Kenyan ambassador? You're some diplomatic advisor? And you never told us. You never asked. You let us think you were a translator. Like you worked for a translation service. I am a translator. I translate at the highest levels of international diplomacy. But you heard, translator, and assumed something small. Something simple. Something easy to dismiss. How were we supposed to know? You could have asked what I actually do. Shown interest in my work instead of calling it my little translation job. You could have invited me to events instead of assuming I wouldn't understand sophisticated people. Vanessa's eyes widened. You heard that. You meant exactly that. You've meant it for years. Every time you talked about your important friends while implying my work was inconsequential. Michael needs to make connections with these people, Vanessa said, voice rising. The Kenyan ambassador, the EU delegation. These are contacts he's been trying to reach for months. And you knew them the whole time. I work with them, yes. And you didn't think to introduce him? To help your own brother-in-law's business. You uninvited me from your gala 3 weeks ago because you thought I was too simple to understand your sophisticated guests. And now you're angry I didn't volunteer to help Michael's business? Do you hear yourself? That's different. That's family helping family. Family doesn't exclude family for not being impressive enough. A woman in an EU badge approached. Ms. Hayes? Ambassador Omondi is preparing his announcement. He'd like you beside him for translations. Of course. I extracted my arm from Vanessa's grip. Excuse me. I returned to the main area where a small stage had been set up. Ambassador Omondi stood at the microphone with me positioned slightly behind, the traditional interpreter placement. The room quieted. Ladies and gentlemen, the ambassador began, thank you for joining us. Tonight, we announce a historic partnership between Kenya and the United States, focused on sustainable development, technology, and economic cooperation. I translated his words smoothly into English. The deal was huge, $50 million that would change East Africa's future. Then he smiled. This project wouldn't exist without people who bridge our cultures. I want to recognize Claire Hayes. He waved me forward. Cameras flashed. For 6 months, he said, Claire has worked tirelessly with our team, translating not just words but meaning. She's the kind of professional every delegation hopes for. Applause filled the room. He gave me a traditional Kenyan bracelet. I thanked him in both Swahili and English, then stepped back. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Vanessa staring, shocked. Michael beside her, calculating. After the speech, the room buzzed. Deals were forming, hands were shaking, conversations flowing. I moved among the guests, connecting people, explaining, translating. Around 9, Michael came up to me. Alone. Claire, I owe you an apology. I've known you 6 years and never asked what you really do. Yes, I said. You never did. He hesitated. My firm's been after the Nairobi contract. I didn't know you were involved. I know, I said calmly. I've seen your proposals. His eyebrows lifted. You've reviewed them? I advise on cultural and local understanding. Whether partners respect customs and context. And our proposal? Technically strong, I said. But it treats Kenya like any other developing market. That's a mistake. Could you help us fix that? I don't consult for private firms. My job is for the State Department. If you want the contract, learn, listen, hire local experts. Do the real work. His jaw tightened. Vanessa said you were still upset about the gala. I'm not upset. I'm done pretending exclusion doesn't matter. Later, the ambassador thanked me again. Claire, I meant what I said. When we expand to Tanzania and Uganda, I'll request you personally. It would be an honor, I said. Then my phone buzzed. Vanessa. Claire, I'm sorry. For everything. The uninvite, the comments, the assumptions. Please, can we talk? I replied, I accept your apology. But sorry doesn't erase years of dismissal. If we talk, things have to change. She wrote back, I understand. I'll do better. I didn't reply. Promises were easy, change wasn't. That night, I went home to my small apartment. The bracelet glowed on my wrist. Tomorrow, I'd brief the secretary. Next week, Geneva. Maybe Nairobi after that. I didn't fit Vanessa's image of success. I never had. But I had real work. Real respect. Real purpose. The next morning, photos from the event spread online. Me standing with the ambassador, bracelet in hand. One headline read, Behind every diplomat, the interpreter who makes it happen. Mom called. Claire, why didn't you tell us you work with ambassadors? I tried, Mom. You never wanted to listen. Silence. Then softly, you're right. I'm sorry, sweetheart. It wasn't everything. But it was a start. I pinned the bracelet to my blazer and headed out. There was a new partnership to oversee and a world to connect. They'd said I was too simple for their parties. But while they were playing at sophistication, I was living